Top 3 Linux distros that make leaving Windows feel surprisingly natural. If you have used Windows for years and lately feel like the operating system is working against you instead of for you, you are not alone. Unreliable search, menus that hide useful options behind extra clicks, unwanted recommendations, and constant interface changes. A lot of people are quietly looking for something better. The usual fear is the learning curve, having to relearn everything from scratch. The good news, modern desktop Linux has closed that gap more than most people realize. Today, I'm going to show you 3 Linux distributions that keep the familiar desktop feel so the switch doesn't have to feel like starting over. These 3 options give you an application menu, a taskbar, a system tray, a familiar file manager, and the settings that won't leave you lost. Each one takes a slightly different approach. One prioritizes looking and feeling the most like Windows, one focuses on simplicity and reliability, and one gives power users maximum control. Let's break them down so you can decide which fits you best. Number 1. Zorin OS, the closest Windows experience. First up is Zorin OS. This is the one I usually point Windows users towards first. The desktop layout feels immediately familiar. Application menu in the bottom left corner, taskbar across the bottom, system tray where you expect it, and Windows control in the usual places. It's clean, straightforward, and designed so you can open apps, manage files, switch windows, and adjust basic settings without needing to learn a completely new way of working. Zorin also helps with the software side of the transition. It includes optional Windows app support that uses Wine. So many .exe and .msi installers can run with a prompt the first time you try one. Not every Windows program will work perfectly, and native Linux versions are good alternatives, are still the better long-term choice when they exist. But for older or specialized tools, you're not ready to abandon. It lowers the barrier. Everyday apps are available through a built-in software store that feels closer to a phone app store than hunting down installers online. If you want the switch to feel the least disruptive right from day one, Zorin OS is a strong starting point. Now, number 2, Linux Mint. Simple, stable, and familiar. Next is Linux Mint, specifically with the Cinnamon desktop. This is often the safest all-round recommendation for someone leaving Windows who just wants a reliable everyday computer. The layout matches what most Windows users already know. Menu in the lower left, taskbar, pinned apps, system tray, and the classic minimize, maximize, close buttons. The file manager, which is Nemo, behaves a lot like File Explorer. Right click menus, drag and drop between folders, desktop shortcuts, and multiple open windows all work the way you'd expect. Mint includes clear graphical tools for installing software, managing updates, changing settings, and handling drivers. Most daily tasks can be done without ever opening a terminal. The main differences shows up when installing programs and when certain settings have different names or locations, even if the feature itself is familiar. Some Windows only software will need a Linux alternative, a web version, or a compatibility layer. Mint is built for people who want stability and low maintenance. It has a dedicated update manager, tools for drivers and codecs, and system snapshots. You can try it from a live USB or dual boot alongside Windows. If you want Linux that just works like a dependable desktop rather than a hobby project, Mint is excellent. Now, Number 3. Kubuntu. More control for power users. Finally, the Kubuntu. This one pairs Ubuntu's solid software support with the KDE Plasma desktop. The default layout still feels familiar. Application menu, taskbar, system tray, pinned apps, and window controls in expected places. The file manager, which is Dolphin, supports tabs, right click actions, and working with several folders at once. Where Kubuntu stands out is customization. If you spend long hours at a computer and get frustrated when an operating system forces its workflow on you, Plasma lets you shape the interface around how you actually work. You can move panels, create shortcuts, adjust Windows behavior, and fine tune almost every visual and functional details. There are more options to explore than in Zorin or Linux Mint, and some of the built in apps take a little getting used to. But for Windows Power users who want control instead of a lockdown experience, that flexibility is the main reason to choose it. Now, the recommendation and closing, the wrap up. So, which one should you pick? Choose Zorin OS if you want the smoothest, most Windows like transition and extra help running some Windows software. Choose Linux Mint if you value simplicity, stability, and a no fuss desktop that stays out of your way. Choose Kubuntu if you are a power user who wants to customize the system extensively and shape it around your workflow. Of the three, Zorin OS is still the one I'd suggest trying first for most people. I'd suggest trying first for most people coming from Windows. Whichever you pick, remember to check that the apps and hardware you rely on have good Linux support. You can usually test these distros from a live USB without installing anything permanently. Leaving Windows doesn't have to mean starting from zero. With the right distro, it can feel more like a moving into a cleaner, more respectful version of the desktop you already know. If this helped, drop a comment with which distro you are considering or what finally pushed you to look at Linux. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Peace out.